Welcome to Midnight Menu Plus One. I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margot Moss. Midnight Menu Plus One is a food lifestyle show on the podcast network, itsneworleans.com. Brought to us tonight by Petite Pet Care. While you're at work or on vacation, you don't have to board your pet. He can stay in the comfort of his own home. For loving care when you're not there, Petite Pet Care. Find them at petitepetcare.com.
Each week on Midnight Menu Plus One, Margot and I invite a member of New Orleans' restaurant and food community to join us, and we invite them to bring along their own guest, a plus one. We never know who the plus one's going to be. Sometimes it's a friend, a neighbor, family member, fellow restaurant colleague. Well, our special guest tonight on Midnight Menu Plus One is Richard Papier. Very excited about that. One of the newest and best Mexican chefs in the city, and we'll be talking to him in just a moment. But before we do that, wondering how your food adventures have gone this week. Do you have any worth reporting?
I had grilled lobster, but it was not at a restaurant.
Well, that's all right. Where'd you get that?
My brother went to Restaurant Depot and chopped in half lobsters and put them on the grill.
That sounds great.
It was beautiful.
I never get lobster anymore since I've been here. Even though you know this, right? New Orleans, this is the greatness of New Orleans. New Orleans invented the iconic lobster dish. Lobster thermidor was invented in New Orleans, even though there's hardly any lobsters in the city. It's never on the menu. Like something that the city doesn't even have, it like reinvents. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't Maine like you'd expect. It was New Orleans. Little piece of trivia.
That's very interesting. And why is it called thermidor?
No idea. That's all I remember about it, is that we invented it. And I'm probably lying about that, but no, I'm pretty sure. How would I have made that up? I don't even know what it is. But I mean, you expect oysters like Oyster Rock. Of course, New Orleans invented that. But lobster thermidor, I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway,
it is unusual.
The only thing I did this week that pops into my head is today, my wife and I, as we often do on Mondays, walked up Magazine Street a few miles, and we burned a lot of calories, and then we got to the Rum House right around lunchtime, and we went in and we realized that the nacho plate was gigantic, and so we just split one of those, right? It's called Damn Good Nachos, I think, and it's pork and cheese and all that stuff. It was only $13, and I'm not kidding you. I think I ate 4 or 5 pounds, because when I got home, I got on the scale and I was 5 pounds heavier than I was when I woke up that morning after sweating the whole way. So it was massive. I ate till it hurt. It's one of those things where like the pain is less, it gets greater than the pleasure, and that's when you finally stop. I mean, it was so massive. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that, and it was really cheap.
So you ate a brick today.
Right, and it kind of segues in with the little blog post, the little supplemental one we did, the video thing that we just posted on Inexpensive Mexican in New Orleans. I didn't mention them in that, and it was really, it's noteworthy. But maybe that segues in well with our guest today, who is Richard Papier, and he's got a Mexican place that just opened the last few weeks and has been getting so much buzz, and I'm really excited. He's one of those pioneers in this area of like Yucatan style, but before that he was working with Emeril Lagasse and Donald Link and Susan Spicer and Nathaniel Zymet and Guillermo Peters and all these very noteworthy chefs, but now he's opened up his own place, and I'm really excited to be able to talk with him. So welcome, Richard.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here.
So, Richard, thank you for coming in. I'm sure this is a very busy time. How long have you actually had the doors open?
We are just getting close to I think tomorrow is our month. 1 month. 1 month exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's flown by. It's flown by.
Tell us where you are.
We are 3242 Magazine, right between Pleasant and Louisiana Avenue, right where all the hustle and bustle's going on.
Right, we're at lunch today.
Yep.
Like a block away.
Good.
And pronounce the restaurant for me.
Arana.
Arana. That sounds very sexy. Is it what does that mean?
It means spider in Spanish, and that is my nickname that I got at Emeril's years ago.
Oh, how'd you get that?
We were talking about him actually with the person that gave it to me. I was the sous chef at the time at Emeril's, and Emeril's, you either came at 4 o'clock in the morning and you got off at 3 afternoon, or you came in 3 in the afternoon and you got off at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. Basically, I was coming in the morning, getting everything ready for the morning shift, and the sous chef came in after being down at Vic's. Looked like he was feeling a little good, walking around everybody and grabbing each person, going, "What's up, Tiger? What's up, Bear?" Stopped me and goes, "What's up, Spider?" I'm like, "Get off of me. It's too early in the morning. I don't have time for this." And then that day, everybody started calling me Spider, started showing on the schedule as Spider, and then
did everybody else get the nickname that he called them?
No, I'm just
you're the only one that's
because you got aggravated.
Just because I get aggravated. It's the kitchen, It's like little brothers. You just bully them, and as soon as you hate something, it just sticks with you. And I've learned to embrace it ever since then.
Wow, how long was that?
Oh God, that was I left there in '99, so it's been quite a while. Matter of fact, I got rid of it for a while, and then I'd go out with the girl I was dating right now. And people would call me Spider, and she's like, "Are you in the mafia or something? Why is everybody calling you Spider?"
So it has nothing to do with personality. It's totally just the
menu. You're not offering any spiders on the menu?
No, not yet.
Okay.
And so you worked at Emeril's in '99. Tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, you grew up here?
Yeah, grew up here. Born and raised here, and I was actually a musician. Used to play around the city, Tipitina's, Jimmy's Music Club when it was still around. And
what instrument?
Bass player and backing vocals and keyboards every now and then. But that's I was young and I'm going to be a rock star. That just never really turned out to be. Used to cook for all my friends, and they'd see the commercials, and the guys, the chef was like, "Yeah, you should totally be a chef. You cook good." And I said, "Okay, let's go to culinary school," and I did that, and 20 plus years later, here I am.
Well, this is the only city in America where actually being a chef is better than being a rock star.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. Most definitely.
Was it similar to being a rock star back then? I mean, I know you worked for some pretty high-profile people, but is that more of a contemporary?
It's funny because you got so much respect for working at these big restaurants. And, one of the first restaurants I worked at was Emeril's. And to be able to get that job, with the type of experience that I had, I was amazed. And the first couple of weeks, I didn't think I was going to make it. It was hard. It was tough. It's be like being in the military. And I persevered and stuck to it. And then I knew this is what I wanted to do. This is I didn't know what kind of direction it was going food wise, but I knew this was the field that I wanted to be in.
So had you gone to culinary school, or you just went? Okay,
I went to Delgado, which has an excellent culinary program out there because you have to go to school 5 days a week. I mean, you go to school 2 days a week while you work the other 5 in the restaurant. So it's like going to med school, but actually having to operate the first day.
So you're like getting on the job experience as you're learning.
Exactly.
Do they still do that?
Yeah, sure do.
That's wonderful.
So now you obviously got promoted up to sous chef pretty rapidly. I mean, if you sous chef by '99, it could have been that long you were there. How long were you there before you were sous chef?
Well, I wasn't a sous chef at Emeril's. I was a PM pastry chef.
Okay.
Which I guess is sort of like a sous chef over there in that aspect.
Right. But who was promoting you? Was it Emeril himself, or was it somebody else?
No, Emeril was starting. He was
already a celebrity by then.
He was pretty much a celebrity, but he was there still consistently. We'd see him a couple nights a week. So I got to actually work with him, which was great, and I enjoyed that. And when I left there, I went to Herb Saint the first year they opened up.
Oh, okay.
And Susan was a part of Herb Saint, and so I got to work with Susan and Donald at the same time, which was
wow, that's amazing.
That's
a golden era.
Yeah, exactly. It's just I was in the right spot at the right time. Got to work with all these great chefs, and I was going to get out the business for a while, and I wound up talking to Guillermo Peters. Used to go to his place, Taqueros Coyoacan, which was in Kenner on Roosevelt, right across from the Home Depot. Yeah. And he'd sit down and goes, "I need somebody like you in my restaurant. I need sous chef, somebody with passion with food." Guillermo is Mexico City. He's very. We used to joke. We used to call him the taco Nazi. Because people would come in and they go, "I want chips and salsa." "We have no chips and salsa. We have pico and tostadas." There's that kind of ugh. And I was probably his first pupil that he brought in and took me under his arms and showed me what real Mexican food was. I'd start chopping onion the way I learned to chop it. He'd look at me and go, "Silly man, that's not how you chop an onion." And he'd show me how to chop an onion the way they would do it in Mexico. So everything I did was the exact same way they did it in Mexico.
Interesting.
And that's how I got aboard over there.
So was that when you
how do you
first
chop
got
an onion
a
in Mexico,
passion? I would like to know
What's
that.
the difference?
It's not as precise and pristine. Rustic is the key to everything.
Oh. Okay.
It's all about extracting the flavors from the vegetables more so than the precise cut.
Does it make is there something about the texture too that is important to it? I mean, is that?
Yeah, it's not as processed. It's a little more home style, and the texture of it and the feel in the mouth is a big difference. Where give you an example, like let's say I'd make a mole at an upper scale restaurant, you'd have to put it through chinois to get really, really fine, and then if it was still loose, you'd have to reduce it down and thicken it up more. Whereas this, you just puree it really, really, really fine as you can. It's still got the chunkiness, but it's still got the viscosity, like of a mole. Let's say, you're doing a mole would still have the viscosity to it, and there'd be no reduction. Reduction's not allowed in Mexican cooking. It is what it is.
Does reduction deflate the flavor to that? I mean, is it just not done? Is there a reason flavor-wise?
Well, it doesn't intensify the flavor because there's so much intensity in the chilies and the ingredients. Like if you're using epazote, which is an ingredient found in Mexico, it's a herb. It's weird. It's kind of like one of those things like truffle. It's like, how do you describe the way it smells or the way it tastes? It's just its own unique thing, and you want to preserve that without overpowering it. If you reduce it, it'd be too overpowering.
So was that when you first got a passion for Mexican food and the beginning of developing your concept for this restaurant?
Yeah, you weren't doing a lot of Mexican herb saying or Emerils.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, I went to go to this restaurant and I just fell in love with this food. Mexican to me before had been like Taco Bell or Taco Tico or whatever generic ground beef taco was.
Right.
And I didn't realize, wow, they use duck. Things like achiote, which is this paste that they make out of the annatto seed, which has got a sort of a bitter and tanginess to it. It gives this beautiful red color to the food. These things I didn't know anything about, and I was like a sponge. I sucked up everything this man showed me, and went on my own after that and started continuing learning. Had a lot of friends. Matter of fact, I wound up in North Carolina after the hurricane. Huge Mexican population. Didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Used to go to cookouts all the time. I went to one cookout. A friend that actually butchered their own goat at the party, and it was a big fiasco because they went to do it with a machete stuck in the goat's neck, and the goat ran around and sprayed everybody. Yeah, it was horrible.
Whoa.
And I showed up after everything had happened, and my friend who invited me, he was walking down with a machete in his hand. I thought someone had been murdered, and I was getting back in my car and getting the hell out of there as quick as I can.
Yeah.
Like, no.
You have street smarts. You grew up in New Orleans.
You thought it was a cartel thing.
Exactly.
Not,
Give me a gringo.
You were next.
Yeah.
We'll frame him and then kill him.
So you came back, and when did you come back to New Orleans?
I came back probably about almost 3 years after the hurricane. I was in a lot of nice positions in North Carolina, but just
Where in North Carolina?
Greensboro.
Okay.
And I just didn't feel the soul and the passion of food as I did down here. And so I had to come back home.
Did you come back with the intent of having your own place, or you just were?
I just wanted to come back.
Okay.
Just wanted to come back.
And will you share with us the what the mission is with your restaurant now, and what makes it more unique for our city?
Yeah. I mean, we Katrina, I think, has helped us out in a lot of ways. We've got a lot of Mexicans migrating to New Orleans to help rebuild the city, which has also brought more of the ingredients. It's kind of hard to find, the chilies, the spices, things like IDL Market's a good example. We can get all that stuff at now. And people now understand what Mexican food is. When I worked with Guillermo, one of our biggest problems is we had some delicious food, but people didn't understand it. So we'd have all these really nice dishes, and they didn't want to pay the money for it because in their mind, drive-through window, get a taco, and that was it. But now people are more receptive to this. We try to do things like do al pastor the right way, which is on a spit. A vertical spit with the pineapple on it, just rotates, and you just kind of shave the just delicious juicy pork into the taco. We do chicken and mole. We smoke the chicken in mesquite wood with the mole on top of it. It's a chocolate mole. We actually do two. We do a red mole for our lamb and a chocolate mole for our other one. But
Wow.
we're just trying to do things that you normally wouldn't see in a Mexican restaurant, which are authentic interior Mexican food.
So is this more Yucatan? Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. That's in the south of Mexico. What's the difference between that and other Mexican food?
Well, a lot of slow braised meats wrapped in banana leaf, very little fried food. Achiote is definitely an herb or a spice that's used in a lot of stuff. It's just a different flavor. It's a cleaner flavor than what you know normally. Not a whole lot of cumin and stuff. You rely on using the product of whatever you're using, whether it be beef, goat, or chicken, using basically all of it and infusing it back into the dish. And lots of love.
I'm drooling.
It's delicious.
What is the nights and hours?
We're open 11 at lunch, and we close at 10 o'clock Sunday through Thursday. Friday, Saturday, we're open till 11 o'clock. From 3 to 7, we have happy hour, which we have half off the tacos, half off the drinks. We've got some great, cocktails, which Cal will probably tell you about in a second. He's my guest.
To your plus one.
I can't talk about it now. Yes, I am.
Well, this might be a
good
time.
He's in charge of the whole bar program. He's been doing a great job. The drinks are delicious. He'll tell you all about that.
So Cal what?
Cal Zayed.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Oh, I thought you were saying Zayed. Cal, tell us your full name. Sorry.
It's Cal Zayed. Yeah.
Zayed. Zayed.
I'm sorry, I messed that up.
It's okay. We go back and forth.
There you
go. Let me. So thank you for joining us, and obviously you've brought him. Cal is the.
He's the eyes and ears at the front of the restaurant.
Eyes and ears. General manager.
General manager makes things roll, so I don't have to kill anybody or stress out.
I keep everybody smiling.
Aww. Yeah. And how did y'all meet?
Well, I think it was in Paris. We were having coffee that one day.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding.
So romantic.
We met actually through some common friends. Richard worked with Salou for some time across the street, our sister restaurant. And we just ran into each other in the bar probably the first couple of weeks that I moved to New Orleans. And we hit it off right off the bat.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Good guy.
So where did you move from?
I moved from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, a beautiful little Ocean Springs right next to Biloxi.
Really? Did you grow up in Ocean Springs?
I spent most of my life in Ocean Springs. I've lived all around, including I grew up in Egypt when I was younger. So I have a lot of exposure, so internationally. Yes.
Are you Egyptian?
I am. Well, my parents are Egyptian, but there's a heavy influence. Yeah.
So. How'd they get from Egypt to Ocean Springs, Mississippi?
I know, right? My father was.
Is there a giant Egyptian population in Ocean Springs?
Yeah, one day we woke up and got a call and said, "Hey, we're moving now," So no, actually, my father is a physician, and he was recruited from a prominent cardiologist on the Gulf Coast. So we came down there from Connecticut when I was younger.
Oh, so in Connecticut first, okay.
Yeah, and I said, what's going on here, parents? And they loved it, and before you know it, we stayed. So,
did you come into New Orleans growing up? Did y'all spend any time in New Orleans?
Oh yeah, I still remember my first restaurant experience in New Orleans.
What was it?
NOLA.
All right, wow, an Emeril place. Okay,
yeah. Right around the time they opened was the first time I had come into the city, and he was, he still is a superstar, but that was right when he was really coming out into the media and everything, and I remember every little detail of it, and I've enjoyed all his restaurants since. So.
And when did you realize that you wanted to be in the food industry?
Actually, right then and there, right around that time.
Really? At NOLA it happened?
Yeah.
You got hit by like a lightning bolt at NOLA?
Exactly.
Really? What was the meal that you were having? Was there a dish that did it?
I had a cedar planked redfish, and I had never had anything like that before coming from up north. The food's a little bit more toned down up north, and it was just like bam, like this is what we do down here, and this amazing city. So that just changed everything for me. So
R2D2 is
confirming
standing in the
that.
background.
Yes.
What was
Yeah.
that?
Sorry,
He agrees.
That was my ringer.
He agrees. Yeah.
So wait, what part of Connecticut did you say?
From Norwalk, right along the
Norwalk,
sea.
yeah.
I try to stay as close to the water as possible.
All right.
I'm a big fisherman, so.
So have y'all gone on fishing trips? Was it after you to discuss business before the restaurant opened up?
You
Did
know,
y'all-
we've not yet, but we spent a little time over in Ocean Springs, and we've been talking about, hey, let's start making it a regular thing, because over there, you know, they sell to all the restaurants, on the local fishermen on a daily basis, and we just thought that was kind of neat. And I wanted Richard to get that 100+ mile deep sea oil rig, deep sea fishing experience. He's kind of, when are we going? When are we going? Well.
So will you share with us some of the cocktails that are served over there, and how that pairs with the food, and what y'all are doing?
Sure. I think everything begins with tequila with this kind of cuisine. I think a lot of people don't realize the depth of it. It's they are calling it the new Scotch, and it truly is.
A new Scotch.
Oh yeah. You know, tequila isn't just about shooting. Hey man, let's do shots and all of that. No,
Right.
it's a stimulant, and it gets people lively, and there's so many different kinds. You know, most people, they mess with the blancos, but you have your reposados and your añejos and your extra añejos, and you start to, once you get deeper into it, you start to realize, well, tequila has cousins. What? The mezcal, smoky mezcal, and before you know it, you're just in this different world that it's all about citrus and aging and the filtering process.
So kind of like, I mean, if someone is into wine, it's a similar. It can be as complex and interesting, and it goes well with the food. I mean,
absolutely.
Will y'all educate?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I came in and
We have a wonderful bartender. Her name is Brooke, and she is packed full of knowledge, and she will tell you everything you want to know about it.
excellent.
Which is great.
Yeah, I mean it's just like wine, in the sense that, you know, you have to let it breathe a little bit. You have to swish it around. Certain types of tequila, you want to shoot them, or you want to sip on them, you know, or you want to mix them. It just depends on which kind of tequila you're using. Right now, we have over 50 tequilas, and you know, a lot of places in town they'll have, you know, 150, 200, but we decided to start simple and choose only the best of the best. So we brought a lot of experts in to balance that out with the menu.
So they complement the food, and the food complements the tequila experience. Now, don't y'all have a beer too that is unique to
To the restaurant?
to the restaurant? And
We have the Day of the Dead Mexican series. It's the only craft Mexican series out of Mexico. So
Really?
Yeah.
The only craft.
The only one.
The only one.
It's being imported here into the U.S.
Right.
Okay.
The
I'm
only
saying
ones
Mexico's a
that are
country of like
available here.
150 million people. I mean, they drink beer there. There's got to be more than one, but it's the only
But
one that gets imported here.
How-
It's the
how
only
is
one
that-
that's been
That's
approved.
amazing to me.
and
That's shocking to me.
Yeah.
Should it be shocking to me, or am I just an idiot?
Isn't it strange?
It's
I
strange,
agree.
but if you think about, we were talking about the history of it. You have a lot of Germans that migrated into Mexico, and so, you know, like one of the beers we carry is the Hefeweizen.
Mm-hmm, that's our most popular.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's got that little after flavor.
It's
of
a
banana.
Mexican
It's
Hefeweizen?
a Mexican
Yes.
Hefeweizen, but you know, somewhere along the lines, the Germans helped create some of the beers in Mexico. Like that's why you've got the Negro, Modelo Negro, and you've got like the Bohemia. You know, there's the the Germans were there. They helped out a lot with that.
I mean, that's
cool.
that's the reason why there should be more than one. That's what I'm saying. That's kind of shocking me. It's just the one, huh?
Yeah.
That's being imported. That's being imported here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it gets even more interesting in that the designs on the bottles, we have 6 kinds of craft beers, and the different designs on the bottles are Day of the Dead themes. So they'll have like a little phrase on each, and a mural on each bottle. So you get a different kind of experience. And it's you know, it starts with the German being the most popular, but we also have some English. We have an English, like an amber ale and a pale ale and a blonde ale. We also have a porter and an IPA. So I mean, I'm telling you, it pairs extremely well with the food. It's like it's made for it almost.
Have you all made a road trip to Mexico together yet for the restaurant?
Not yet.
Latin market has been quite an adventure.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Oh no, it's just great. We because it's hard to get a lot of our ingredients. We take turns going to the Latin market, just getting things that we need. Cal's Spanish is way better than my Spanish. This guy's stupid. He only speaks how many languages?
I'm fluent in 3. So.
Yeah.
What are your 3 languages?
Well, English, Arabic, which is Egyptian Arabic, and I'm fluent in Spanish as well. Castilian Spanish, Spain Spanish.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm English and Yatanese.
Yeah.
But he walks in, he knows the product.
Now, wait, how'd you get to be
and then
fluent in Spanish?
Awesome.
Was that from your education, or what did that?
I did a lot of traveling, and I was married to a woman from Madrid.
From Madrid, okay.
Yeah, so I've had the Spanish experience all the way through. So I catch on with languages pretty well, and that actually comes into play really well when we get our Latin customers and Hispanic and Spanish customers that come in. I can kind of translate it and break it down for them. So
to me, that's super cool, and I don't mean maybe I'm sounding ignorant, but a lot of places that are like open up, they don't have families coming in, people coming in that the intent of the restaurant, and to me that's really cool to hear that it's being appreciated, because like my favorite Vietnamese places are not the ones that I go, that the new ones that everybody wants to try out because it's new. I want to go somewhere where Vietnamese people enjoy it as much as anybody else, and to me, so that's really cool. Y'all have a supportive clientele.
Very much so.
Yeah.
One of the things when I was learning to cook, my girlfriend, she's pretty much my fiance. We've been together for a long time. I had to cook for her family all the time, and they always just, the first time they came into the house, they thought she was doing all the cooking. And I said, cool. She's like, no, Rich is doing the cook, and they're like, he is not white, he is Mexican.
You made the cut.
Yeah, they made the cut, and so they the grandmother called me mijo, which is in term of endearment, and she didn't call anybody that. She grabbed my hand, she says, you know what you're doing. And so, her family comes over all the time and eat, and they love it.
Food is really that connector, huh? I mean, it's you culturally there's nothing to but you provide food.
Correct.
And that's
you understand
love.
the person's food, you understand their culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, there's a lot of great Mexican places in New Orleans where you have really good food, but there's not a ton of like ones that have really good food that are very authentic necessarily, or as pure as what you're describing.
Yeah.
It's sort of like being like I'm from New York, and New York Italian. There's lots of great Italian places in New Orleans, but if you're very particular about your tastes and like authentic New York Italian, you don't find there's only a handful.
No, yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with Mexican food here, and you have this growing Mexican population, so they must really appreciate that too, because they can taste the difference, and it really makes a big deal. It's a big deal for them, like what you're describing.
Oh, it totally is, and we try to break it down for the the typical non-Latin customers come in. Like one of the things that we've got set up, and Cal can tell you about that, is we have tequila flights. So if you know anything about tequila.
You can take a little tour of Mexico, actually. I like to refer to it with our bartenders as taking a walk up the ladder with our customers, meaning, we start with a Blanco on the base level, and then we move our way up to a Reposado. And a Reposado is kind of a blend in between an Añejo and a Blanco in terms of aging, so it's kind of middle-aged. Very smooth.
So by flight, what do you mean? You're going through different areas of Mexico, or you're going through different types of tequila with folks?
Depending on which flight you choose, you can do a Blanco flight, which is a series of 4 half-ounce tequila samples and snifters. You can do an Añejo flight, you can do a Reposado flight, and you can even do a Mezcal series as well with different smoky profiles of the Mezcals.
So are you drunk at the end of the tequila flight? I mean, we're talking about, they're small, they're half ounce.
Right.
So you're talking about like really a half or a third of a shot glass each time. But how many times are
2
there?
ounces, so you're looking at just a little bit over a normal shot.
So it's like reading a story. You're like experiencing a story with tasting different right?
Exactly. You're looking for your friend, basically. Like, oh, I didn't know that I like more than just Patron. I like Hussongs, and I like El Jimador, and I love to say El Jimador. You know?
Yeah, it's so much fun. Much when you say it well, like you do. Yeah. I'm afraid. I was living in fear of this interview because I can't say anything in Spanish that doesn't sound stupid when I say it. So I've been avoiding the name of the restaurant and everything else this whole interview. My son and my daughter, my son and my wife both speak a little bit of Spanish, and I tried to test it out on them. I'm like, don't even try. Don't do it. So, yeah, that sounds beautiful when you say it. So is this something that you recommend at the beginning of the meal, at the end of the meal? Like, when's the best time to take the flight so you get the purest experience?
Well, what we found so far is people like to take it at the beginning or the end, but honestly, I recommend getting like a tostada or antojito, like an appetizer, or like a ceviche, and then moving your way into the flight right before the entree. That's the best usage of it. And then finishing it off with a Mexican chocolate flan or a tres leches.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So are there any appetizers that maybe be so like have a lingering aftertaste that would kind of mess up the flight? No, that's okay.
No,
There's nothing too spicy.
no,
or
because
too,
a lot of it has a lot, citrus. There's a lot of citrus in Mexican food, and citrus pairs very well with tequila. So.
Well, y'all, this we've come to the part of the show where we go off the menu, and we ask you each a question that you would not typically be asked if you were maybe applying for a job with Emeril, or, I don't know. So something, it's a little off the beaten path, and I had a question for you.
Okay.
Richard, but I'm changing I might make you do two questions.
All right.
Wow.
Because
unprecedented.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
I'm honored.
Well, the
Ready,
first
set,
thing
Or
I
cursed.
want to know,
We'll find out.
I want you to say out loud the first word that comes into your mind when I say these people's names.
Okay.
And it just, it can be whatever.
Inspired,
Okay.
Margot.
Yeah.
That's inspired.
Okay, Emeril Lagasse.
Opening, first chance to the world of food. I have one word. Sorry.
Change. That's whatever.
Oh hell. Excited.
Okay, Susan Spicer.
Educated.
Nathaniel.
Oh, fun.
Donald Link.
Fine-tuned.
Okay, and Guillermo.
before.
Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes.
Guillermo Peters.
Oh, passion.
Passion.
All
Definitely
right.
passion.
Okay. All right, Ray. You can ask your.
I can't follow
Cal,
after
your
that. That was brilliant. I love that. That's the best off the menu question in
All right.
weeks and weeks.
All right. Do you want me to ask Cal my other question? Do you have a question?
I had a question for Cal, but
Okay.
no, I think I want to hear yours though. I have one. You
Go
choose.
ahead. If it's as long as it's not your something we've heard before, I will allow you to ask it.
We may have heard it before. I don't
Okay, forget it.
know.
My
You know
turn.
what? You think I'm going to ask the one about you have one meal with one
Yeah,
person
yeah.
again? I'm not going to ask that.
All right, then go ahead.
But it's a variation on that. So,
All right.
if you could wish a meal on your worst enemy, what would it be?
I'm gonna try really hard not to offend anyone.
Come on, somebody's got to get offended. This is a. You can
okay.
do it.
A watermelon and raisin salad.
All right.
Those are the only two foods that I've encountered in my lifetime.
Have you ever had a watermelon raisin salad?
No, I've had
That was
watermelons
good on your
and
feet.
raisins.
You just invented it.
They're the only two
And you
things I've
hate
ever had
those
that I
two
don't like.
things?
You don't like watermelon or raisins?
No, not at all.
So you would serve that to? Okay. Well,
Who
I
doesn't
gotta
like
ask
watermelon?
who you'd serve that to. If
I'm
it's
afraid
such a
of you now.
terrible.
Who doesn't like watermelon? That's like I want to say it's un-American, but that's just like unhuman. Like it's inhuman. Everybody loves watermelon.
Oh,
you
well,
hate it.
Not everybody likes it when you put it in things like gazpacho and all of what's going on here?
Got
This
it.
is supposed to be a soup, and it's what? It's cold and sweet, and there's raisins in it. What's going on?
There was raisins in it.
You just need mayonnaise in there.
What's
Yeah,
wrong with
yeah,
what's wrong with raisins?
It's funny because I really enjoy wine and ports and sherries, but in a raw form, a raisin is just
an angry grape.
Is it a phobia?
It's an angry grape.
Angry grape. Is it a texture thing?
It's the
visually
the hated. It's what's left over. From all the good stuff.
Wow,
yeah,
what
I
a good
believe that
question.
totally.
I think this
something goes
is
wrong
really
with another
revealing.
grape harvest. We're like, let's make raisins out of it, right? Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
Yeah.
I know
believe
that secret.
Yeah, if they dance, you shoot them.
You know what? To tell you the truth, now I'm thinking about it, I kind of dislike raisins. I never have them. I think I know why, though. It just came to me. It was those stupid commercials with like the dancing raisins and he said that on that. They were the worst commercials ever.
And they were also my worst nightmare as a child.
Why's that?
Really?
Yeah, everybody
Why?
had those T-shirts, and then they had the commercials, and then in toy stores they had all the raisin figures.
Is there something
That must be an
geopolitical in this
ocean
or whatever?
thing.
It's just like there was a great there was a great famine in Egypt in the land or something. All they could have was raisins, and he associates that with it's just the ad and the T-shirts and all that.
It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just ugly, and it's like, and then it's like it's like Cinderella.
I know what to throw at you tomorrow when you come to work.
All right, yeah, exactly. This is how we got his
It's like
nickname Spider. You're raisin from now on.
Oh God! Oh no! Cut that out.
So did they don't put raisins in anything in the Yucatan?
Actually, do a raisin liqueur, believe it or not. Yeah.
He's gonna make
Christmas
you pair
present. So I guess we're gonna have a drink on the menu called the Cal.
This is
Now you know what to get Cal every holiday.
Oh man.
I hope everyone's not listening.
Oh well, that was much better than my question.
You trusted me. You didn't
Yes,
trust me.
I did.
You didn't trust me.
You're right. I'm glad you asked that because my question was really not that interesting. I was going to ask, and maybe y'all can relate. I don't know because you're working so hard right now, but I was going to ask if you would be willing to give up half of what you own if you were able to be replenished by 1 hour of sleep.
Ooh, wow, that's a tough one right there.
Like every night, you mean? Not just one time.
No, like forever. Like you all you would need from then on is 1 hour of sleep, and it would be fulfilling. And
are they giving up what they have now, half what they have now, or half of everything they make in the future
half of what
too?
they have, what you have now.
Okay.
You don't have to give up your future. Yeah, you can make so much more in the future if you only needed an hour of sleep.
Wow, that's good. No, I like being where I'm at. I like being where I'm at. So I'm gonna have to say I love sleep, but I can sleep when I'm dead. So.
We could stay open 24 hours. Are you sure about that?
All right, let me
23 at
But
least.
the rest of your staff wouldn't be able to have the same blessing, right? So they're all asleep, but you're up.
It'd all be a bunch of raisins. Angry little grapes.
Wow. You pretty much described me, Margot. I get about 1 hour sleep. That's why I'm the way I am. It does things to you, but I don't have the magic fairy making me able to cope with it.
Well, you've given me you do pretty well for 1 hour.
No,
of
I
sleep.
get like 3 hours sleep. I don't get one, but yeah.
You were exaggerating.
I was exaggerating.
Literally
slightly.
3 hours.
Yeah, usually.
Okay, sorry.
That's another show. Okay, so yeah, everybody becomes raisins.
Well, I'm speaking of sleep and new business. I mean, is there anything that y'all have experienced being an owner of your place, owner that you never realized when you worked for all these other people? I mean, was there something that you would be like, oh, owner's being an asshole? You don't have to be specific, but just, and then you were like, aha, in the past month, you were like, I see why.
Oh, I definitely want to go back and apologize to every chef that I worked for. It's like that whole skull thing. It's just, when you see people, it doesn't happen quite often, but, people don't have the passion that you do. So sometimes they don't put forth the effort you wish them to put forth, or they complain about it while they're doing it, and it just drives you crazy, and they're complaining about they're tired and sleep. It's like, look, you know what? I get barely 1 day off a week, and I'm still here. It's like I'm still trucking, going on with this. And, and you got to take it with a grain of salt because it's yours. It's not theirs. You want them to have a part of it, but no one's ever going to care about it as much as you care about. And hearing all the crying and whining, but it's a restaurant too. There is some amount of babysitting you have to do, but it's all part of it. It also makes for interesting characters. I mean, I think some of the people we've had in and out that didn't last. So in the beginning, we could write a great sitcom.
Oh, a good one.
A good one. With that one Sunday especially, it was
Come on, share it.
How
share
could
it.
all these things happen in one day?
Oh,
you know?
it's just silly stuff. It's not even worth going over. But it's just one of those things. Look at each other, and go, did that day just happen? Wow, But you persevered through it. Everybody went through, and nothing happened.
What's one element of it? Give us one piece of it.
One piece of it.
What was the weirdest thing that happened that day?
I think we had somebody that had a seizure.
Yeah,
the staff had a seizure.
We had within an hour. We had a seizure.
Seizure.
It was raining so hard that the water was starting to flood through the back. It was about to come into the restaurant, and then I used my Egyptian engineering skills, and we diverted the water between the two buildings. We built a dam.
He's part Dutch. You don't know.
What did you use
Suez Canal.
an aqueduct? What did you use to divert the water?
Well, the linen companies won't be happy. We didn't have sandbags, so we used big, full linen bags full of dirty linens, and that pushed the water in between the
smart.
I
buildings.
guess it's better than like your bags of cornmeal or
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
bags of raisins. You just found a use for raisins.
Exactly. No, then they would all bleed raisin juice into the restaurant. That'd be even worse. He'd start crying. It would be terrible.
The water would turn red like the Red Sea.
Cats and dogs intermingling.
Did the person having the seizure work for y'all, or was it a
No,
patron?
it was a patron of the restaurant
Oh, wow.
who actually works at one of the other restaurants. And it was just one of those. I mean, it was scary at the time, but at the end of the day, it was just like that. And then we had an employee that was just not happy and not expressing it in the right way, and
like physically, like some excitement.
Well, let's put it this way. I was getting scared, grabbing my phone, looking for the 911.
Angry man syndrome. Let's go have a talk.
Yeah, let's go have a talk, and just it's things like that. But it's the restaurant business.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
the
exciting.
It's exciting, and it gets crazy, and you have lots of characters, especially within the kitchen. That's what makes it fun. If everybody was perfect in every kitchen, there'd be no excitement. There'd be no passion.
The food wouldn't be as good.
You'd be boring.
Yeah, right.
You'd be boring. It's there's something about when it's fast paced and people are about to get in the weeds and you're just moving, hands flying everywhere, knives chopping everything, and just the motion, and people are watching what you're doing because our kitchen is open, which is great too.
Okay.
And so you can see what's going on in the kitchen. The kitchen sees the people coming in. You hear the ticket machine make it spiral of snake-like tickets on the floor.
It's like a clock. It's a beautiful machine that comes together.
Yeah, it's like a ballet. It's an excited ballet of people rushing and like da-da-da-da-da. It's like playing a game of Tetris, trying to get all those walls built up before the piece doesn't fit. And it's just great 'cause it comes together. It has to come together.
Right.
If it doesn't, you're not in business anymore.
Well, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask anyway. Like, is your kitchen then, as an open kitchen everybody sees, is it more like when you go to Commander's and you get the chef's table? Mm-hmm. It always amazes people how silent it is in there and how precise, and you almost you can there's just no chaos going on at all. Everybody has their job and they're very, very precise about it. Or is yours more on the
which
end
restaurant
of the...
did you say? Is that the thing you look in the door and like, someone's looking in? Close the door, right? Everybody go back
Everybody
together.
stop chopping.
Everybody stop chopping.
I mean, you sit there for 4 hours and you're like, how in the hell did nobody yell at anybody in 4 hours here? And and you spend the whole night there and you're like, something's weird about this. Most kitchens don't look like this. So yours is not like that at all, obviously.
No, we can't. It's an open kitchen, so it's
Right.
I'll crack the guys up on the line when they start getting, like when they start seeing all the tickets come on. And I'm like, well, you said you want to be busy. Here we go.
So a sense of humor is a great thing to have in.
I don't know. I don't have one.
You have none. Okay, so when y'all are hiring people, do you look for someone is culinary school, like someone going to Delgado or with previous experience? What do you prefer? In general, I mean, I know that's.
I like somebody who doesn't know too much, and then I don't like somebody who doesn't like too little. If I can get someone to mold them to what I do, it's always the best thing. Sometimes when you hire, you see resumes, you get really excited about the resume, you bring them in, and then you kind of realize halfway through the interview that they're here to get a paycheck and do their own thing, not do what you want to do, and that's the hard part. And then you get the guy with no experience who's worked at McDonald's and places like that, and you really want to hire him, but once you get him in there, you just don't have the time to. They need about 2 or 3 more years of actual real line work with real, I mean, not to say that McDonald's is not a real restaurant, but it's a system. Yeah, well, you said it, not me. You need somebody with some actual.
Monsanto is going to send a black helicopter over my house right now. My wife and children won't be there when I get home.
Grimaces come repelling
There'll
down
be raisins
with a hamburger. California
They're going to pellet you with raisins.
Take that. You want somebody who's worked in a high volume restaurant. I particularly look for guys that have kind of had, jobs where they've been in a fast-paced restaurant, whether it's been like a burger joint or something like that. When I say burger joint, I mean like a greasy spoon, but they've also had limited time in a fine dining restaurant, so they understand both sides of the puzzle. They understand the execution from the fine dining, but in a burger joint, greasy spoon, they also know volume, so they understand priorities, getting things done fast, and the execution of making things the correct way and the right way and the consistency every time.
All right. Well, okay, we have to wrap up in about 2 minutes, but we want to close with this. Is there any question you want to ask Cal while we're on the air? Put him on the spot in front of everybody. Is there one thing you want to ask him?
You can do the same thing after. Don't worry.
You didn't have to tell him that yet.
Sorry.
Make him sweat first.
Gosh, no, not really. What's that intoxicating perfume you're wearing right now? I don't think this really.
De Tequila.
Oh, there you go.
Cal, how about your boss? Anything you want to ask him?
Sure. I see the eyes. All right, come on, go for it.
I'm just wondering what kind of picture you're going to be putting on your business card. Are we going with the sombrero Jexican look or not? I'm being serious about it. Are we going to? No.
I showed you I didn't show you the card I drew the other day, huh? I drew a spider and a taco.
The one with the Sharpie.
The Sharpie, yeah, because I was we're waiting for get our cards, and I'm going to give this to everybody else, and it's matter of fact, I still have it on my phone. I can show you if I had it. It's very, very third grade school. I can't find this.
Well, I have to say your shirt is beautiful.
Thank you.
And it's noticeable. I actually.
Spider.
Oh, we hadn't seen that. Okay.
Very subtle.
Looks a little more like a beetle than a spider to me, but okay, I'll take it.
No, I see the spider.
Okay,
I just thought it was aesthetically, the design was pleasing.
Yeah.
But I saw someone wearing one the other day.
Great.
Ooh la
and
la.
they were
That's nice.
They were sitting at a bar at
What color was it by chance?
what color was the shirt?
Yeah.
I think it was black.
Bartender.
It was a bartender.
Okay.
Shocker
was I
there.
about to get someone in,
No.
So
that's fine.
the
Color-coded.
bartenders, yeah.
So what do you give? Like you give green to jerks? Like, oh yeah.
We give red to the guys who are getting fired first, just like in Star Trek. There you go.
Target.
Just get started.
You know that guy's going to die first in the episode.
Yeah, you move up the scale.
No,
if you get
no.
out of red, you're going to make it.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much, guys. This has been a real pleasure. Our special guest tonight on Midnight Menu Plus One was Richard Papier, and his plus one was Cal Zayed. Is that right?
That's right.
You can find out more about. Oh no! Now I have to say it. Arana. No, that's not it.
Arana.
Did I do it right? All right, that's close enough. Arana. And by following the links on our site, itsneworleans.com.
Thanks tonight to Petite Pet Care for loving care when you're not there, when you're out eating at Arana and you want to spend all night and take a flight, call petitepetcare.com.
Spend all night and take a flight. Listen to eat. Okay. And thanks also to Monkey Hill Bar on Magazine Street. At Monkey Hill, you can enjoy a 5-hour happy hour every day from 3 to 5 p.m. And every Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. Coronas, margaritas, and sangria specials, plus $2 tacos.
That's it for tonight's show. See you next time on Midnight Menu Plus One. Till then, I'm Margot Moss.
And I'm Ray Canada. Good night. Midnight Menu Plus One is produced by Margot Moss, Grant Morris, and me, Ray Canada. Our technical director is Chris Keogh.
You can find photos from tonight's show on our website, itsneworleans.com. On itsneworleans.com, you can also check out our blog. You can listen to lots more episodes of Midnight Menu Plus One and our other shows, including Out to Lunch, Happy Hour, True to the Game, and Mindset.
You can hook up with me and Margot anytime by following Midnight Menu Plus One on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can also Google Midnight Menu Plus One, and we come right up.
The fabulous audio quality of this show is brought to us by PreSonus Audio. For more information about PreSonus recording equipment, go to presonus.com.
Midnight Menu Plus One is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For all of us here at Midnight Menu Plus One, thanks for joining us. I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margot Moss. We look forward to seeing you back here next week on Midnight Menu Plus One.
Summer's almost over, but at Old Navy the styles are as hot as ever. Get to Old Navy now for 30% off all jeans, 40% off all dresses, and 50% off all tees. That's right, get 30, 40, and 50% off all your favorite styles for the whole family, plus up to 75% off clearance. Hurry in fast. These deals won't last. The sale ends soon at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Valid in-store 8/22 to 8/28 and online 8/22 to 8/24. Excludes in-store clearance, bubbles, active, licensed, and men's package tees.